I'm in here this morning trying to make gravy, and we'll make brown gravy. Now in this beautiful pot, there's a lot of fond. Fond is coming from, it's F-O-N-D, and it means it's the tasty brown bits that's left in the bottom of the pan after you fry meat. And I keep it. And I fried sausage this morning for the kiddos. You can see the sausage right there. And I thought, oh my gosh, look at the deliciousness left in this pan. There is so much flavor in there. And it is too good to be wasted. Well, I've got that sausage grease and that fond that's in the bottom of my cast iron pan, and I'm going to add, I've got a whole cup of flour here, self-rising flour, and I'm going to add about half of it. I know some people measure their flour out in teaspoons or tablespoons when they're making gravy, but I just go by a knack, what I'm used to seeing in the pan. And this morning it's about a half of a cup of self-rising flour. Now I'm just going to stir that into my grease. I may not have enough grease from the sausage to continue this. I might have to add a little bit more. But I want to make sure that it gets all of that fond off the bottom of this pan and all that flavor goes into my gravy. And I'm just going to stir it up a little bit right here. Some people prefer a thin gravy, and some people prefer a gravy that's stiff. I like a stiff gravy, you know, firm gravy that holds together. Now this is a little bit too firm. I'm going to have to add just a little bit of coconut oil in here with my grease. I added the coconut oil and it's blending right in, and I'm going to mix it right in with my flour and all the fond and the grease that I had left over from sausage this morning. I'm going to brown this. This be brown gravy this morning. I'm going to cook this till my flour is good and done. I'm using my tiny spatula. This is my husband's tiny spatula. He likes to use a small spatula. I usually use real big ones. You know, I like an average size spatula. Maybe, what is that, 2.5, maybe 3 inches across there. But I had used the little spatula this morning for sausage, flipping the sausage. So I just went ahead and continued to use what I had here in my hand. Now everything is browning up good. You can see all them little specks of meat that are in there. I move it around to keep it from getting too firm. The only lumps in this gravy will be from the fond or one of these pieces of sausage over here. I think I'm going to cut up a piece of this sausage. We've got our homegrown tomatoes. And these apples I went and picked from Mama's. She had a little apple tree back there where she lives, and we went and got some of them. And I cannot wait to cook these up. These are excellent to just cook up and eat with a meal, a side dish. You know, we grew up eating cooked apples, and they're delicious. I like to add them to, they go with any of our meals. But today I'm just going to focus on this sausage gravy this morning. And of course I'll have to make something to go with this gravy. I'll have to make some, maybe biscuits or something good that we can put a little bit of gravy over. Be delicious. I had to run downstairs and get the milk. I don't want this to burn. All right, now we got it good and brown. The flour has cooked, and now we're going to add some milk. I've got about a quart of milk here, and I'm just going to slowly add. And work my flour, my good and cooked brown flour, into that milk. And now I'm I'm going to add some more. Get this stirred in and worked in really good. And if you missed that, that was an Appalachian term called stir. We stir everything. We're quite aware that it's stir, S-T-I-R, but we still want to say stir, S-T-U-R. R. There's a long R on the bottom of it, so we're stirring our gravy here. We stir our gravy, we stir our soups, and most everything that's cooked, we're in here stirring it. Alright, so I've got this gravy looking good. I'm going to add the rest of my milk. Because you know I got quite a bit of flour in there. Then I'll add a little salt and pepper when I'm done with it all. Maybe you make your gravy a little different. You know, growing up, we always just made gravy with water. Mama always liked water gravy, believe it or not. Instead of milk, you would just add water. If you were not drinking milk for dietary reasons, you can certainly substitute it with water. Now, it is a little different flavor, but it's still very, very good. We grew up with water gravy. I've shared that with you before on here. They always had water, but they didn't always have milk. Mama and her family grew up way up in the middle of the Appalachians. And when they were growing up, they didn't know, not everybody they knew had cars. Cars didn't come to everybody until a little bit later in Mama's life. It wasn't that there wasn't plenty of cars out there. It was just the fact that they were expensive and they were scary to some. Mama she didn't drive until she had her 4th child. And then Daddy decided that she had 4 children and she needed to learn to drive. She thought he was cruel because he was making her drive, and she was so nervous she was scared, but in the end, it was the best thing for her. She learned to drive. Maddie's in here checking out my gravy. What you need, babe?
Sausage.
Okay. You want more sausage? She just took the plate of sausage. And that's perfectly okay. She has always loved sausage. And if we don't hide it from her, if we don't put it in the oven where she doesn't know where it's at, she will eat all the sausage she sees. So we won't be adding sausage to this. We will just be using the fond that's in the bottom of our pan, which it looks like it's going to be enough. Looks like it's going to be plenty of tidbits of sausage and fond in our pan to make our gravy. Now this gravy is a little bit thin. As it cooks here a little bit more, it will thicken up and it will be the perfect consistency for me. I'm going to go ahead and add some salt and pepper to it. My husband, he loves pepper, but I'm not going to put too much in it. Maybe a half a teaspoon. I'll probably put just a tiny bit of red pepper just for flavor and because, you know, we love the benefits of red cayenne pepper. So I may just add a few flakes in here. Not that it'll be overwhelming, or maybe that you would even get the pepper, taste the pepper in it, unless you just got that little particular bite. But I'll put just a pinch of pepper in here because it just adds a layer of flavor. That little tiny bit of heat that you don't even notice just makes the gravy taste so much better. Now, we grew up eating this gravy. This was the gravy we ate. It was brown gravy. Sometimes it was white gravy. Ours usually was brown because Mommy used water. Sometimes it was white because there's a lot of milk. Gotta check on Madeline. She's enjoying her biscuits and her gravy. Her sausage. Minus the biscuits and gravy. She's just enjoying the sausage. And her movie. So I'm just going to let her enjoy that. Gotta check on her real quick. Make sure she's okay in there with her movie and enjoying her sausage. Madeline is our first granddaughter. She's our first grandchild. And then we've had 5 more grandchildren after that. We love all of our grandchildren. And I'm in here making this good gravy to go with something for lunch today. I'm just going to put it over. I've got some leftover meatloaf. I'm going to have that. It's about 12:15. I'm not fasting right now, so I'll be able to go ahead and just put this gravy right over the top of my lunch. Letting it thicken up just a little bit. There's no lumps in it. The only lumps you see will be pieces of sausage, meat, and fond that was in this pan. Fond, F-O-N-D. It's a wonderful, wonderful chef's wonderful, delicious ingredient that chefs use to flavor things with. You don't ever want to throw your fond or your grease that's in your pan away. Sometimes I've got a baggie that I keep in the freezer, and if I can't find a use for it right at the time that I'm making, when I'm making something with meat that has a good fond left in the pan, I'll just let it cool off, and then I will scrape it out and put it in a baggie. And I will do that systematically, but I never throw away my fond. I always find a use for it. Now my gravy is done. It's thickened up to where I like it right now. It'll thicken up more as it cools down. I will be saving this gravy for dinner tonight. I'll make something that gravy will go good with. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, and this will be for today. Now here I've got my pan of leftovers. This was from my dinner last night. This is what I had left over, so I am going to get some gravy and just put it right over all of this. That'll help it taste more delicious. That's a trick, a budget-friendly trick. Make a pan of gravy and add it to your leftovers. It'll taste delicious. You'll be glad you did that. I'm going to go ahead and eat lunch. I've got a cup of tea right here. It's ready to drink. And my little Hey Boo cup that I thought was adorable. And I'll go ahead and have a lunch. I may slice up a tomato and put it on the side. I may not. My husband loves tomatoes. He would definitely have to have a tomato sliced up on the side. And that would just make everything more delicious for him. I've got a lot going on right now. We've started the fall cleanup, and I hope to share a video with you about that. I've got kids here today, and I'm going through some things. I've got some things over there in the floor. You know, we live in a 2-story house, and one, you know, you have to go down 2 little flights of steps of stairs with 12 steps each to go down and carry things down to the basement that I bring up from down there in the big pantry that's down there that has our canned foods and our empty jars and stuff in. So sometimes empty jars pile up over here, and I just pile them up because I'm not running up and down those steps as much, especially with kids up here, with Madeline and kids I have to keep an eye on. So I kind of do that all at once. I try to do that at least one day a week, and I'm behind because I've been doing a lot of other things. But I'm getting those things put up where they need to be, and a lot of things going on today. But I thank you for joining me. You know, I'm always glad when you're here and I can share something with you what I'm doing that day. Maybe it'll inspire you, make you want to make a pan of brown gravy and put it over your lunch today. You know, this is good over so many things. And I'll put this, when it cools off, I'll put it into a container, and then I'll just heat it right up tonight when I make dinner or supper. We call it supper. A lot of people call it dinner. My daughter calls it dinners, and I've just got that habit, but all of our life it was supper. And I'm going to go ahead and eat this. I think I'm going to put a pickle on the side of it over here and spruce it up a little bit. I found an already sliced tomato. I'll just cut the top, the good off of it, and put it on here. And I'm also going to have green tomato pickles. Have you ever heard of green tomato pickles? They're delicious. Maybe that'll be a recipe. I'm not sure I'll have enough green tomatoes left to make this, but when we have green tomatoes and it's time at the end of the garden, we make green tomato pickles. My husband loves these. They're a real treat if you like pickles and you like varieties of pickles. I usually fry my green tomatoes, but sometimes I'll make green tomato pickles. Got that tomato on there. I'll put a little salt and pepper on here, and these green tomato pickles are on the side. And that's going to be my lunch today. That's a pretty good size lunch, isn't it? I'm glad you joined me today. Thank you for joining me here at Much Ado About Something. And like always, until next time.